All right, this is Beast here with you. Here are the latest updates from around the world this September 19th morning. Let's get right to it. Starting off in Mexico, officials with the Drug Enforcement Administration advocated for a series of military strikes against targets in Mexico earlier this year, alarming some at the White House and Pentagon. According to people familiar with the matter, also spoke to the Washington Post. The discussions began roughly a month into the Trump administration after President Trump designated a number of drug cartels and criminal gangs operating in Latin America as foreign terrorist organizations, with DEA officials suggesting strikes against both cartel leadership and infrastructure sites in Mexico. The acting administrator of the DEA at the time of these early conversations told the Washington Post that he is totally in favor of hitting the production labs and command control leaders in Mexico. The cartels have killed more Americans than any terrorist organization in the history of America, so they need to be held accountable. Though he credited the Mexican government under President Claudia Sheinbaum with making substantial arrests and seizures and disrupting the cartels, but said there must be way more done to stop them. Moving on to Puerto Rico. U.S. F-35B stealth fighters armed with AIM 9X missiles spotted taking off this morning from Puerto Rico. Back to the United States. U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping have held a phone conversation this morning, according to Chinese state media, with trade relations and a faded social media platform TikTok topping the agenda. Moving on to Bagram in Afghanistan. Afghanistan rejects calls from President Donald Trump for the U.S. military to return to the country and reclaim Bagram Air Force Base. China's response is the foreign ministry rejects Trump's call to retake the airbase, stressing respect for Afghanistan's sovereignty. Meanwhile, in China, we've been able to see here on X, as per the Defense Intelligence, China's skies just got more mysterious. A massive new crank kite flying wing drone has surfaced at a secretive test base, sparking speculation about its true mission. Its unusual stealth-focused design hints at a long-range reconnaissance or even strike roles. Whatever Beijing is building, it is clear one thing is certain: this is not just another drone. So there you have it right here. All right, moving on here. Vietnam. Russia and Vietnam have developed a shadow scheme to pay for weapons through oil and gas revenues to circumvent U.S. and other Western sanctions. Moving to North Korea. So here's some visuals on X. According to open source intel, Kim Jong-un toured a defense site in North Korea to review newly developed drones and loitering weapons. And not sure if this is real or not. I don't know why the drone is so big. But anyways, let's continue. Moving on into Lebanon. We've been able to report via X from Vicegrad 24. The Lebanese army has started raiding Palestinian camps to root out Hezbollah supporting terrorists. It was going to be a visual, but it's not loading, so we're going to move on. Israel, your time will come. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, has issued a menacing threat to Houthis leader Abdel Malik Houthi after a suspected missile attack on Israel launched from Yemen. Pakistan's defense minister says his country's nuclear program can be made available to Saudi Arabia under the Defense Pact, according to Associated Press. I don't have it on here, but I did want to share that he's also extended his hand that others can join other Islamic nations can join this defensive pact as well. Moving on to Ramallah. Israeli Defense Forces, guided by intelligence from Israel's security agency, conducted a coordinated overnight operation in and around Ramallah. They foiled a terror cell allegedly planning a major rocket attack targeting areas of North Jerusalem. During the raid, troops uncovered an active explosives lab, seized dozens of rockets and explosive devices, and dismantled a workshop used for manufacturing weapons. 3 suspects were reported arrested before they could carry out the planned attack. Continuing with Israel, Netanyahu accuses China and Qatar of propaganda war against Israel via TikTok. Continuing with Gaza, Sir Mahmoud Yusuf Abdu Akir, the deputy head of military intelligence for Hamas Burji Battalion, don't know if I said that right, was eliminated in an IDF strike in northern Gaza. In addition, more than 10 terrorists were neutralized and over 20 military infrastructure sites were destroyed. Now, moving on to New York. If you enjoy this type of content, please use a drone of your choice to obliterate that like button. We deliver conflict news, the latest conflict news, 2 times daily. Let's continue. Moving on to Russia. Russia's oil and gas revenues face significant September decline. Russia's oil and gas revenues are expected to fall by 23% in September year on year due to declining international crude prices. Moving on to Crimea. The Crimean Bridge has currently UAV danger. Moving on to Europe as a whole. EU proposes banning Russian LNG in 19th sections package. Reuters previously reported that the proposed ban should take effect in January 2027, a year earlier than originally planned. Phase out of Russian energy imports that the EU bans the import of Russian LNG to European markets and lowers the price ceiling for oil to 47.6. Large energy traders Rosneft and Gazpromneft are also hit. A complete ban on transactions applies to them. A number of other companies will be subject to asset freezes. The sanctions will also affect refineries, traders, and petrochemical companies in third countries, including China. St. Petersburg, Russia St. Petersburg airport says its website was hacked. In the Kursk Oblast, we've been able to report via X I cannot do that music. Ukraine Special Operation Forces carried out a precise strike on the logistics hub of Russia's 810th Separate Marine Brigade in Kursk, targeting the material supply depot, ammunition warehouses, and concealed storage sites for the brigade's weapon and military equipment. So, as you can see, they're destroying it. All right, so Moscow. Peace negotiations between Ukraine and Russia are currently frozen, with both sides discussing only humanitarian issues. The head of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council recalled that during Zelensky's recent visit to Washington, an agreement was reached to hold bilateral and trilateral summits with Russia and U.S. Presidents Putin and Donald Trump. We are waiting for the trilateral and bilateral meetings to take place, noting that the ball is on Moscow's side on this matter. He also pointed out Russian forces plan to launch up to 1,000 drones per day for strikes on Ukraine by the end of the year. This indicates that Russia has no serious intention to end the war. Moving on to Spain. Spain supports the use of frozen Russian assets to finance Ukraine. He said that Madrid will look for creative ways to increase financing for Kiev. In his opinion, the use of frozen Russian assets is a justified step. Speaking of Ukraine, the West intends to invest billions of dollars in developing Ukraine's military industrial complex as an alternative strategy to UN's ascension into NATO. Russia. So Russia is capable of producing around 30,000 strike drones per year, and by next year the output could double. The New York Times reports. In 2025 alone, Russia has already launched more than 34,000 strike drones and decoys, 9 times more than during the same time last year. Ukraine shoots down about 88% of these drones, but even the remainder is enough to cause damage. The Kremlin has indicated that and has made UAV production a state priority. And they're also doing a launching site in Russia near Ukraine as an added tidbit. Now, moving on to the United Kingdom. Ukraine's the UK's Foreign Intelligence Agency M16 has introduced a specialized dark web portal named Silent Courier to facilitate the recruitment of new intelligence operatives with a particular focus on enlisting individuals from Russia. Now, moving on to Gaza. US and Israel freeze militant accounts like Hamas's $500 million network, but new channels like crypto emerge. Some of the money has also been smuggled in through tunnel systems under the border between Egypt and Gaza. Moving on to Poland. We've been able to report via X, thanks to Military News UA, Poland adopts domestic 12.7 mm WAKLM multi-barreled machine guns after Russian drones intrude Polish airspace. And here's a little visual of what this unit looks like. So they're definitely going to load that bad boy up. There you have it. Moving on to the United States. U.S. senators are seeking to increase pressure on Russia through sanctions against its shadow fleet. A group of senators will introduce the Shadow Fleets Act, which would expand sanctions against Russia's shadow fleet of oil tankers used to circumvent Western restrictions starting in 2022. The measures would target vessels and Russian LNG projects financing the war in Ukraine. Moving back to Russia, within 45 days, Ukrainian kamikaze drones have bombed 15 different oil refineries in Russia, most of which have either completely or partially suspended operations. Moving to Poland. Missile debris found in eastern Poland, military police say. Latvia. We've been able to report on X, thanks to Visegrad 24. Initial reports about the debris of a Russian suicide drone having been found in a beach in Latvia. And here's a visual of what that looks like. Now, moving on here to Finland. We've been in a report via X. Thanks again to Visegrad. Russia laying groundwork for aggression against Finland. According to the Institute for the Study of War, the Kremlin is conducting a coordinated information campaign against Finland, echoing the rhetoric that preceded the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The campaign's goal is to discredit the Finnish government and paint a picture of internal instability. Just yesterday, several Russian officials issued sharp statements. Foreign Ministry claimed that Finland had supposedly lost its neutral gloss and was in a state of ranchism, while Putin's special envoy declared that relations with Helsinki has been effectively destroyed due to NATO membership. Moving on to Venezuela. Well, that is the latest. Enjoy your day. See you soon.